Hey guys, Sin here with another Flesh and Blood video, and today we're gonna talk about something that we've kind of just noticed within our local game store and just in general. And judging by the title of this, let me preface this by saying, like, I'm not entirely well versed on print numbers. I'm not entirely well versed on what's being held, I guess, within like distribution centers or whatever. I'm not privy to any of that information for any of the LGSs that I am sponsored by or play with. I kind of only know like what is able to be ordered in for like our local player base and stuff like that. Basically I've noticed over the past month, Welcome to Rathe, Welcome to Rathe Unlimited, more specifically, is spiking up to about $90 a box. This time last month, boxes were being sold for about $60 at every LGS that I knew of, give or take, $60 to $70, depending. And after we kind of ran out, I remember about a month ago when we were playing, we realized like, hey, the shop's almost out of Welcome to Rathe. Let's see if hey, can distribution get any more, right? Or can the shop get any more from distribution? And at the time, the answer was pretty much like, no, it's pretty much sold out at whatever distribution it was. And prefacing this, if you don't know, a lot of shops use multiple distros, and Flesh and Blood uses multiple distribution channels to send product throughout the US to various stores. But that being said, one of the bigger ones didn't actually have any Welcome to Rathe in stock at the time. Welcome to Rathe Unlimited, and like we've known for about a year now, I think it was. Yeah, it was about a year. That it has actually been about a year. That the farewell to Welcome to Rathe had happened. So the question really was, I guess, like when is WTR Unlimited going to kind of like, I don't want to say dry up because it makes it sound like, hey, panic buy everything. Don't do that. This is not investment advice. This is not investment advice. This is not me telling you, hey, you need to go buy this now. I honestly don't advise anybody invest in sealed product for Flesh and Blood, because personally I believe boxes should be open to play with, because they're trading cards. And that's my hard stance on it. Not to mention WTR is just such a great set. And like the only thing that I would say keep sealed is probably first edition, if you're lucky enough to be one of the people that have first edition boxes. We all knew this day was coming. We were all pretty certain this day was coming, but there's a couple factors that I kind of want to talk about too that really drive home that, hey, this, maybe not now, maybe not tomorrow, but within maybe the next year or so, finding the original Welcome to Rathe Unlimited on a store shelf is going to be a lucky draw. We already know that, the only really way to get Arcane Rising, because that kind of dried up very quick. The only real way to get like Arcane Rising was to essentially buy secondary market, and I think boxes of that right now are about like $120. So that sounds about right. The product will still be floating out there. It will just be kind of belong to the secondary market at that point. And that's kind of where I wanted to just like get to the point of my video of like what's causing that, what's the factors. Well, the first cause is obviously it's out of print. And here it says, from all the way back in 2021, December 1st of 2021. So we're now a year into this, over a year into this out of print Welcome to Rathe, even though stores were still able to get a lot of it from distro at the time. Still, Welcome to Rathe is officially out of print. Legend Story Studios will not be reprinting Welcome to Rathe again. The last Welcome to Rathe is making its way to distributors now. Now we know that like distribution just like I've experienced and I've seen that, you know, distribution has Welcome to Rathe. Every now and again, they'll pop up and post some up online for stores to be able to buy. It gets bought out almost instantly, though. Like, it just disappears instantly. So farewell to Welcome to Rathe. You know, this was an event that they ran a year ago, you know. They ran this a year ago, and ever since, we've still had Welcome to Rathe the Draft. It's been floating around in game stores, at least on the East Coast of the United States. You know, and I know for a while there was so much of it that I believe on TCG Player, if we look, even back in November, the market price was only $60 a box for Welcome to Rathe, unlimited. So, you know, 60 bucks, and that kind of stayed true. That stayed true within the local game stores that I play at, and that stayed true within, you know, if I were to travel to go play games, that stayed pretty within the ballpark. As of right now, as you can see, $88.95 through Bento Gaming, and that seems to be kind of the going price. We have a couple sales over the past couple days that are approaching $90 a box of Welcome to Rathe. You know, this could be due to various factors. This could be due to the fact that it's ProQuest season. It could be due to the fact that we're going into a new competitive season. It could be that there are new players getting into the game and they want to purchase boxes of Welcome to Rathe, and that's great. That's great. I'm really trying to sound like I make it sound like I don't have a problem with this. I don't have a problem with this. I don't have a problem with Welcome to Rathe going away. But this is kind of this is kind of like a video of me just kind of talking about like why I think it might finally be starting to get to that point where we're going to see spikes in prices on the boxes. And I personally believe that at $60, Welcome to Rathe was incredibly underpriced. Like, very much undervalued, very undercost, like very much under what it should have been going for, knowing that it was out of print, even though there was so much of it out there. Like I said, like, this isn't like TCG Player is like one instance of this, but if I look at like, say, MinMax Gaming, they have boxes currently listed for $90. They probably are matched a TCG Player, which is, you know, normal. That's pretty normal. That's pretty standard. You know, and MinMax has boxes of WTR Unlimited for $90. I believe Forge and Fire Gaming doesn't even have any in stock. Forge and Fire Gaming doesn't even have any in stock. The Realm Games doesn't even have any in stock. I believe there was a box when we were out at their ProQuest last weekend, box or two kind of sitting in their actual shop and not posted online, and the boxes there were about $90, about, give or take, $90. And yeah, no, at first when we saw that, I was kind of like, wow, that's a little pricey. But looking at it now, like, no, that is what this goes for. That is what WTR is currently going for. And it's no wonder, because when you look at things like Heart of Fiendal, which, I mean, yeah, it's the Fable. Yeah, it's very like slim chances you're going to pull one. This is a used card right now in some decks for the game. And it's also the first Fable the game ever printed, and just for a rainbow foil you're looking at almost $400. I mean, there was obviously a spike after Worlds when it was in, you know, Michael Hamilton's list, Icelander, Bullander list, but like almost $400, man. Like, no wonder. And then you look at Spring Tunic, the best legendary, the most versatile legendary in the game. It's $250, and for, you know, it stayed pretty much that, but it went up from like, it was, yeah, like this time back in November, it was $170. It is now a $250 card. And I think a lot of that is because as time goes on, aside from competitive play, aside from that, the more it gets opened up, the less WTR Unlimited there is out there in the wild. Now, like, I know that there's probably some like investors, or like, I hate using the word whales, but whales out there that are, you know, hoarding like boxes and boxes and cases of this stuff. But that's just saying that's what's off the secondary market. That is what is in somebody's personal investment portfolio or collection that we're not going to see in the wild until they decide, hey, it's time, and this is how much it costs. Basically, at that point, they kind of control the secondary market for sealed product. I think it's going to be a while still. We probably got another, I'd say maybe like year and a half to 2 years before WTR fully goes away, and before it's very difficult to find it. And that's where I think products like History Pack 1 really shine. Products where you are able to essentially get these reprinted cards, play with the cards, do that kind of thing. So this isn't a complaint post, but this is more of a like PSA of like, hey, Welcome to Rathe is very much appearing to be on its way out. I kind of get the vibe from Outsiders that LSS's plan is that Outsiders will almost be like a core reset to the game, in the sense of having multiple heroes to choose from, reprinting old heroes from, one hero each from 3 of the out of print sets, so Benji, Azalea, and Katsu. Maybe reprinting some of their key cards that make them work within Outsiders. But I think it's just a fair thing to throw out there that what I'm noticing personally, at least in my area, on the East Coast, and then even through online retailers, is that WTR is on the rise right now. WTR Unlimited's on the rise right now, and I don't think that is specifically because of ProQuest season or even like various callings coming up. It's getting to a point where I'm pretty sure stores are having a hard time getting it from distro, because distro may not even have it, or distro might be holding it. I don't know. I know nothing. But what I'm saying essentially is like, yeah, like WTR is probably on its way out within the next year and a half. It's going to be very hard to find unlimited boxes, and it's, the more that gets open, the less there are. And I think it's a fair thing to just kind of throw out there that, like, we're already seeing it happen. Like, we're already seeing it happen across multiple buy channels. Like, I can't speak to any of these game stores specifically as to why they don't have any in stock. Maybe they just don't want to get any more of it because, like, maybe they don't need it. But that's why HP1 was such a good product, because if stores didn't want to try to hunt down WTR, they could just do HP1, and their new players would have cards to play with. I mean, I know a lot of players personally, and this is just completely anecdotal, and I know that I know a lot of players personally that have just a bunch of WTR stock laying around, just bulk on bulk of WTR. Like, after this 1 year out of print, back in December of 2021, we've been able to draft WTR for another entire year after this Welcome to Rathe event. And I'm speaking very small here. I know that there are, other countries that may have been the last WTR that they saw, was back in December of 2021. But I know here in the US, like, I don't want to say we're swimming in it, but it's, for a while, we were able to literally just go to an LGS and buy a case of WTR, like, no problem. And that was that. Like, but yeah, I think we're approaching the point where WTR may be on its way out the door, like, fully. And that's, I think, honestly, if that's the case, and Outsiders comes around and it's like this core reset that's got, like, good generics in it that kind of work within the same vein as WTR did, and we're back to this melee focused combat set. I think LSS timed it perfectly. I think they timed it perfectly, and they predicted it almost perfectly. That's really what I want to say here, is the kudos to LSS for, kind of, seeing this coming and having enough forethought and enough, insight into, their trends and the marketing, and the market behind it to really know, like, hey, like, we'll make WTR go out of print December 1st, and then later on down the line, we'll have another set that kind of does this melee focused core, like, reset, I guess you could say, of kind of like stage 2 of Flesh and Blood, like the next part of the story, or whatever you want to call it. But I think it's a very fair talking point to just say, like, yeah, I'm seeing WTR start to, like, kind of wane. Like, you have pages on pages on pages, and we ignore these guys. We ignore these right now. Ignore this. But we have like 2 pages of shops that are currently selling WTR at like a reasonable price. Actually 1.5 pages. So like really, like, we got, they have this, Global Games Warehouse, whoever they are, they have 31 boxes just chilling somewhere. I'm assuming they're a warehouse. But a lot of like shops are starting to really wane off of it looks like. And I don't know if that's due to them just not buying any more of it for local game stores, or if it is genuinely just that hard to get from distro now. So something that I think's fair to point out is that if you're missing stuff from WTR, coming up soon might be the time to buy the singles you need if you would like to have the WTR versions of those singles rather than, say, History Pack 1. But I also think it's fair to say that in Outsiders, if we're getting Katsu and we're getting Benji and we're getting Azalea, that LSS is not afraid to reprint cards that they've excluded from like HP1 or HP2 that work with these heroes. They're not afraid to reprint those cards. The cards that are not like Heart of Fiandal or Fiandal. Well, I mean, they've reprinted Fiandal Spring Tunic 3 times now because it's such a good card and it's such a playable card. And I know it sounds like I'm probably droning on. I'm doing this off script, but I really think it's fair to kind of give a look at this and say, you know what, this might be it. Because I mean, we look at Arcane Rising, and I know you can just tell that the Arcane Rising Unlimited was printed a little bit less than WTR Unlimited was. But like for a box that has some of the best Majestics in the game, actually the best Majestics in the game, Art of War, Command and Conquer, like $114 for a box is pretty that's pretty reasonable, even though it is hard to kind of pull those cards. Because back then the rarities were a little, like you would get more super rares than you would Majestics, and now they're kind of one and the same. But like and even then there's only 2 pages on TCG Player of shops that have it for a reasonable, actually 1 page that has it for a reasonable price. And that's starting to wane off. So basically anything that's not on the secondary market is either still sealed in somebody's investment portfolio somewhere, or just chilling out in the ether somewhere. And until all of this dries up, we're not going to see those boxes again. And next time we see those boxes coming out of somebody's collection, they're going to be at a significant markup. Typically, they'll be at wherever the whales that control the secondary market decide they want the price to be. But like I said, like it's all kind of okay because LSS has addressed this. But I think it's kind of safe to say, like, PSA, hey, like, it's coming. And by that I mean it's going, and it's probably time that if you've been holding off on some of the Arcane heroes and holding off on some of the WTR heroes and getting their staple cards or whatever it might be, maybe it's the time to start kind of accumulating those, because in the next year or two, I'm willing to bet it's probably gone. And us noticing this was probably the first indicator that, yeah, you know what, this is starting to go. It's starting to disappear. And like I said, like, this is just anecdotal from my point of view. I kind of hang out in game stores across West Virginia, Pennsylvania, West Virginia, Pennsylvania, Ohio. So I'm really only in that concentrated area. But you can find me on Twitter, Sin on Stream. And I didn't notice how much it spiked. I mean, that's a $20 spike within a month. That's a that's actually, it's almost a $30 spike within a month. And there's varying factors, and it might just be time to give it a second look and say, hey, like, it might be time to try and get those cards that you need from WTR, because eventually you'll only really be able to get the singles, and that's really it. The good news is that there is a lot of it out there. There is a lot of it out there still. It's just going to be, what it is. But yeah, I'm always a proponent of opening up boxes I hate seeing sealed boxes unless they're like super rare, sitting on my shelf. So like, I open my unlimited boxes to play the game. That's pretty much it. You know, you don't gotta agree with me, but that's just how I do it. So with that being said, I hope you guys have a great week. Just some food for thought. This is just a food for thought video of like, you know, maybe give WTR a second chance, grab a couple boxes, open them up, see what you want to do. See what you want to do with it. But that's really all I have today, guys. And with that being said, thank you guys so much for, you know, just bearing with me and watching this 20-minute video of me talking and rambling about WTR Unlimited. Yeah, little thought piece just to throw out into the void. All right, guys, thanks a lot. Sin is out.